You now say you're going to keep Obamacare, quote, unless we can do something much better.
Correct.
Last month you said, quote, we're working on it. So tonight, 9 years after you first started running, do you have a plan, and can you tell us what it is?
Obamacare was lousy health care, always was. It's not very good today. And what I said, that if we come up with something, and we are working on things, we're going to do it and we're going to replace it. But remember this, I inherited Obamacare because Democrats wouldn't change it. They wouldn't vote for it. They were unanimous. They wouldn't vote to change it. If they would have done that, we would have had a much better plan than Obamacare. But the Democrats came up, they wouldn't vote for it.
Serious question for the Republicans who didn't know that the Affordable Care Act and Obamacare were the same thing. What was the thought process there? Did you think that you had the Affordable Care Act because it was for Republicans and Obamacare was for the Democrats? Did you think that Obama was still helping with Obamacare? Like, did you think Obama was running it? What did you think the main difference was between Obamacare and the Affordable Care Act? Like, did you just think, like, Obamacare was the more liberal insurance and you just got, like, the more non-liberal insurance? I'm not even trying to be mean. I'm genuinely so fascinated by this blunder. I can understand not getting tariffs, sure. I'm just... If we didn't think they were the same thing, what did we think they were? How did we think they were different? Like, when you got your Affordable Care Act coverage, did you specifically say, no Obamacare for me, only Affordable Care Act? Did you think that Trump was going to take away the free Obamacare insurance for Democrats, but not the Affordable Care Act insurance for Republicans? I'm genuinely trying to understand. So please leave me a comment. And for what it's worth, I genuinely hope that everyone who needs free health insurance or low-cost health insurance ends up with it at the end of this.
Okay, y'all. Well, I just seen a video about the man who said he voted for Trump because Trump was going to get rid of Obamacare. Y'all, now he mad because he is unemployed and he has insurance through the Affordable Care Act. He did not know that Obamacare and the Affordable Care Act was the same thing. So you literally voted against your own interest. I am in tears, y'all.
In this video, we'll take a look at how some white Americans voted for Donald Trump to get rid of the Obamacare. In addition to this, some black Americans have accused white Americans for voting for Donald Trump to cancel the Obamacare because they thought it only benefited black people. Later, they got to realize that the Obamacare is the same as the Affordable Care Act, formerly known as the Patients Protection Affordable Care Act. So it was the same thing. So let's watch these videos as Americans react to this revelation, and we'll come back and talk further about it. But before we watch the videos, if you haven't yet liked this video, kindly like the video and also subscribe to the channel. Let's watch the videos together.
Dear President Trump, I know I don't look so good. I've been undergoing chemotherapy since May, and it takes a lot out of you. The good news is that Obamacare is keeping me alive and can cure my stage 4 cancer, but I need to keep my insurance. Your latest plan will put me and millions of other Americans at risk. Throwing us to the mercy of the insurance companies is not the way to go. We need the protections of the Affordable Care Act so that people with pre-existing conditions will be covered. We need somebody that will stand up for us rather than selling us out.
Apparently, a lot of them are figuring out that Obamacare and the Affordable Care Act are the same thing, and they actually voted against their own self-interest. If you voted for them, you took away my health care. Not only did you take away my health care, you took away my ability to get insurance at all because I have pre-existing conditions. And that's just one of the minuscule ways you've affected people in this country.
Health insurance sucks, but believe me when I tell you it used to be a lot worse. This tweet is on to something. Before the ACA/Obamacare, insurance companies used to be able to deny you coverage for pre-existing conditions, and there were a lot of pre-existing conditions. If you had diabetes or survived a heart attack in the past, you were uninsurable. Full stop, no insurance for you. HIV, no insurance. Beat breast cancer? Congrats. Good luck if it ever comes back, because we ain't paying. That was just life in America until basically 10 years ago. And if you had conditions like high cholesterol, asthma, or even hay fever, insurance companies would cover you, but they'd just jack up your premiums instead. And even if you were covered, insurers could just cancel your entire policy if you made the teeniest mistake on your application. And believe me, they would move heaven and earth to find any errors and deny you coverage. It's called rescission. And just like denying coverage based on pre-existing conditions, it's illegal now thanks to the ACA. But that doesn't mean it's always going to be that way. The far right wants nothing more than to kill the ACA and let the free market decide whether you live or die. Last time Trump was in office, he made repealing Obamacare one of his biggest goals, and he failed by just one vote. There's no reason he won't try again, especially as Republicans in Congress have become even more MAGA, not less, in the 7 years since. More than 40 million people rely on ACA-related policies for their health care. We cannot let this happen.
This was the precise moment I no longer was a Democrat.
Raise your hand if your government plan would provide coverage for undocumented immigrants. Okay.
That was the precise moment that I knew I was leaving the Democratic Party. Because I was a 2-time bone cancer survivor. I voted for Obama-Biden based on Obamacare. And when it was implemented in 2010, I ended up losing my insurance. I went from an insurance plan that was $185 a month with a $1,000 deductible to that policy being canceled because it no longer met the requirements of Obamacare. And I was left with the cheapest option being $1,200 a month, $6,000 deductible. $185 a month, $1,000 deductible to $1,200 a month, $6,000 deductible. I went 10 years without insurance, and I was penalized each year because I could no longer afford insurance. And in 2016, every single Democrat candidate up on that debate stage raised their hand and said they would give illegals free health care. While me, as a 2-time bone cancer survivor, lost mine. Didn't have insurance for 10 years, and I was supposed to get CT scans, chest x-rays, and all these other tests done every 6 months to ensure my cancer didn't come back. And they wanted to give illegals free health care. That was the exact moment I was no longer a Democrat.
There's this American man who came on big social media and said that he voted for Trump because he wanted Trump to scrap Obamacare. Mind you, he's unemployed, right? And if anybody knows about the American healthcare system, it is privatized, which means that you have to pay for your treatments, and they can be very expensive. Nevertheless, he decided that he was going to vote for Donald Cheeto, translucent wig wearing as Trump, because he wanted Trump to scrap the Obamacare and continue with the Affordable Cares Act. Not realizing that when Obama launched Obamacare, he made it clear that it was the ACA. The Obamacare is the Affordable Cares Act. So he basically scrapped his entire privilege of getting discounted or cheap healthcare. But that was not what behooved me. What behooved me was when the nigga found out what was I saying? Yeah. When he found out, bitch, that Obamacare and the ACA was the same thing. Hear this nigga. Why don't they label them different? The nigga started complaining that they weren't labeled different. Sir, They are the same. Yo, listen, I need to, good night.
No, but I do think we need to have a serious conversation about this whole Obamacare bad but Affordable Care Act good thing. Instead of mocking the people who think that, let's talk about what it actually shows us, because I think that's important, and it's going to be so important moving forward for the next 4 years. The right wing is and has always been excellent with their marketing. They have drilled it into people that Obamacare is bad, that anything associated with Obama is bad. But it works. People say they hate Obamacare, but then you've got all these individuals saying, oh, but I hope they don't take away my Affordable Care Act. And we've known this for quite some time now, actually, because they've done, surveys and studies that show when you ask, how do you feel about Obamacare, people respond negatively. But when you break it down and ask people how they feel about the individual components of the Affordable Care Act, there's like a 70 or 80% approval. And we see the same thing in Florida, too. What was it, only 2 years ago, where Florida passed a higher minimum wage, but voted for all Republicans. And we saw it again this year too. Florida, it didn't pass, but 57% of people voted in favor of keeping abortion access in Florida. That's crazy. And again, it didn't pass because the Republicans who are in charge know that something like that is actually pretty favorable. So they set the bar at 60%, not just 50% the majority like almost every other state. And I'm just like begging the Democratic establishment to recognize that they think their problem is that they're not center enough. They need to go more moderate, more centrist. But their actual problem is that they're just really bad at marketing. They are out of touch with the general population. And quite honestly, a lot of you are out of touch too. Like, let's stop grammar shaming people that voted for Trump and then being shocked when the right wing has it out for the left. Like, nobody cares how you're spelling there. You know what they're trying to say. But anyway, I just really hope that the Democratic establishment recognizes people want progressive ideas. It just needs to be palatable to the general population. We need to do a better job of making the information digestible. Like, maybe instead of spending the next 4 years finding the most moderate, basic white man you can, invest in like a PR firm. What's Molly McPherson doing for the next 4 years? And I understand that we are all upset and frustrated and anxious and scared about what the next 4 years are going to look like. I am too. But shaming people isn't going to help the situation. That's not going to bring them into the fold. It's just going to exile them from us even more. For anyone that's been paying attention seriously, it feels very much like Republicans have been playing chess for the last 4 years, and Democrats are like just now opening up a checkers box. And I don't know, maybe the best use of our time over the next 4 years is to learn how to play chess.
If you're not familiar with how Obamacare works, then you need to keep watching this video. Obamacare, Marketplace, ACA, the Affordable Care Act, they all mean the same thing, okay? Just a bunch of different terminologies for it. Obviously, Obama created Obamacare, so that's why we call it Obamacare. Obamacare is individual health insurance for individuals, families, that sort of thing. The big reason why Obamacare came about is because health insurance prior to Obamacare didn't have to cover pre-existing, didn't have to cover mental health or maternity. I think we can all agree that having a woman on health insurance is very important to make sure that her pregnancy is covered. So Obamacare did great with covering certain services that people needed. And if you're lower income on Obamacare, you can actually qualify for what they call a subsidy or tax credit, where the government will actually help you pay for your premium every month. However, the drawback on that is if you make, if you're middle class or upper class and not ultra rich, not talking about the 1%, but middle to upper class, you will pay a lot for your health insurance, and I'll kind of explain to you why that is. So like I said, Obamacare will cover all pre-existing conditions. So if you have cancer or diabetes, you can enroll right into the plan and it will be covered. So what does that have to do with, people maybe middle class, upper class aren't going to qualify for any subsidy or savings? Well, your premium is going to be a lot higher. Your deductible is going to be a lot higher. Why is that? Well, because the insurance companies are taking on a lot of risk. They're insuring a lot of the time unhealthy people that need a lot of work done, or people that are lower income who are paying next to nothing for their premium. And so how do they make money? At the end of the day, that's what they're in to do. So they're going to raise your rates, your deductible, So it kind of evens that playing field because they're taking on a lot of risk. Before this gets political, because I know it will, I do not feel one way or the other. Whatever is best for my client is the way that we're gonna go. Some people, if they have health conditions, they have to, suck it up and pay a lot of money. Other people, are gonna get great coverage for a low cost. There's great things with Obamacare. There's also a lot of bad things with Obamacare, which is why I don't think we need to eradicate it. We definitely need to change it. But
I'm seeing a ton of videos about people who didn't know that Obamacare is the Affordable Care Act. And as a health insurance expert, I have to tell you, this has been a thing for close to 15 years now. I have been explaining that Obamacare is the Affordable Care Act for so long that absolutely none of this shocks me. Health insurance is already super duper complicated and really hard to read and understand. But then when you have right-wing media changing up the words associated with insurance, it just confuses everybody. You've got deductibles, you've got co-insurance, you've got out-of-pocket, you've got your premium, you've got a million things going on with your health insurance. Get to understand health insurance and know your rights, because things are about to change.
A couple things. One of the things Donald Trump said he's going to do is eliminate Obamacare. Do you know the states that benefit the most from Obamacare? The southern states, all of that voted for Donald Trump. I just think that's important. Let's see what happens.
Welcome back. So in this video, we looked at a compilation of reactions from people from the United States when they realized that the Obamacare is the same as the Affordable Care Act. That is, they were thinking that voting for Donald Trump to cancel the Obamacare will only affect the Black community because they thought that the Black community were the only people benefiting from the Obamacare. But later on, it was realized that the Obamacare is the same as the Affordable Care Act. Voting for any of these presidential candidates, I believe, is not something that is bad, either Kamala or Trump. Personally, I believe Trump has a lot of strict policies and values in order to help America become great again. So I was personally excited hearing that Donald Trump won the election. So I have no problem with anyone voting for Donald Trump, but to have in mind that he was going to cancel the Obamacare and that will affect the Black community because they are the people thought to benefit from the Obamacare. I believe this was a very bad mindset. In the end, they got to realize that the Obamacare was the same as the Affordable Care Act. And I keep wondering how a lot of people got confused as to thinking that the Obamacare was different from the Affordable Care Act. Let me know what you think about this video in the comment section below. Also, don't forget to share this with your family and your friends. Don't forget to share it on other social media platforms like WhatsApp, Facebook, X, Instagram, TikTok, and other social media platforms. Also, subscribe to the channel. Just click the subscribe button down here. Click on the subscribe button. Click as well on the notification bell. And I'd like to see you again in my next video.